Have you ever stopped to think why your life seems to have a script you never wrote? Why certain things repeat themselves? Why you meet the same people with different faces? Why there is something inside you screaming that the story they told you about who you are just doesn't add up? Look, I need to tell you something that will shake everything you've believed until now. And I'm not talking about crazy internet theories or spiritual guesswork. I'm talking about a woman who, in the 19th century, had the courage to expose the greatest cover-up in human history. Her name is Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, and what she discovered was so disturbing that they tried to erase her from history. They tried, and they almost succeeded. So sit down, take a deep breath, because what you're about to hear is a one-way street. Once you know this, you will look at the world with new eyes. You will look at your own life with new eyes. And most importantly, you will understand why you always felt like you were living in a matrix, in a well-told lie, in a gigantic illusion that everyone accepts, but that, deep in your heart, you know can't be all there is. The first incarnation of humanity did not happen the way they taught you. In fact, it didn't happen anywhere near what they taught you, and this deception was not accidental. It was meticulously planned to keep you exactly where you are now, believing you are small, limited, mortal, and dependent on external forces to save you. But the truth is something else. The truth has always been something else. Helena Blavatsky was born in Russia in 1831 into an aristocratic family, full of privileges, the kind of life most people dream of having. But since childhood, she was not like the others. She saw things. She knew things. She had experiences that no one around her could explain. And when she reached adolescence, she did something completely insane for the time. She abandoned everything: an arranged marriage, fortune, security, comfort. She threw it all away and set off traveling the world in search of answers. And look, these were not simple answers she was seeking. She wanted to know the truth about human existence, about where we come from, where we are going, and most importantly, who is controlling this whole game. She spent years wandering through India, Egypt, Greece, places that most Europeans of her time didn't even dream of visiting. But the real turning point, the moment that changed everything, was when she achieved something that was considered impossible. She was accepted into Tibet, not as a tourist, not as a curious onlooker, but as a student. The Tibetan masters, those monks who guard millennia-old knowledge in monasteries lost in the mountains, opened their doors to her. And you know why? Because they recognized in her something that goes beyond this life. They recognized an old soul, someone who had already walked these paths before, in other forms, in other times. It was there, in these monasteries hidden from the world, that Helena gained access to the most secret texts in existence, manuscripts written in a language called Senzar, which she claimed is the original language of humanity, predating any known civilization. These texts don't speak of myths, they don't speak of legends. They document in frightening detail the true history of humanity. And when she began to translate, to study, to connect the dots between these manuscripts and all the ancient religions, from the Indian Vedas to the Egyptian texts, she realized something terrifying. All the great religions of the world know this truth. All of them. But at some point in history, this truth was distorted, fragmented, hidden behind symbols and parables that ordinary people could never decipher. Now listen to this carefully, because this is where it gets heavy. The first incarnation of humanity was not physical. You did not start as a body of flesh and bone. None of us did. Blavatsky discovered that in the first root races, as she called them, human beings were ethereal, practically spiritual, floating in dimensions that our current minds can't even properly conceive. We were pure consciousness, pure energy, directly connected to the creative source of the universe. There was no separation. There was no ego. There was no suffering. It was a state of existence that today's mystics spend their entire lives trying to achieve through meditation, fasting, and rituals. But that's how we started. That was our natural state. So you must be asking yourself, okay, but what happened? How did we end up in this dense body, in this heavy matter, in this three-dimensional dimension where we suffer, get sick, age, and die? And this is where the part they never wanted you to know comes in. There was an intervention. Blavatsky speaks of beings she calls the Lords of the Flame, highly evolved entities who came from other star systems, other dimensions, with a specific purpose: to accelerate the evolution of human consciousness. But to do this, they needed to give us something we didn't have. They needed to give us the rational mind, the intellect, the capacity for individual choice. And for that to happen, there had to be a vibrational descent, a fall. And I'm not speaking metaphorically. I'm talking about a literal drop in frequency that trapped us in this dense material reality. This is the true meaning of the expulsion from paradise. This is the true meaning of the fall of Lucifer. It wasn't sin. It wasn't disobedience. It was a genetic and spiritual experiment of cosmic proportions. And something went wrong, because in the process of gaining an individual mind, of gaining free will, of gaining the ability to create and destroy through thought, we lost the direct connection to the source. We lost the memory of who we truly are. And that's when the endless cycle of incarnations, of lives and deaths, of forgetting and relearning that you are living right now, began. Blavatsky documented that humanity has already gone through 7 great root races, each with completely different characteristics. The first race was pure spirit, without a defined form. The second began to have a form, but still ethereal, not yet solid. The third race, the Lemurians, was when we began to have denser bodies. And it was during this time that the great separation of the sexes occurred. Before that, we were androgynous, complete in ourselves. But in the third race, the division between masculine and feminine happened, and with it came sexual reproduction, attraction, desire, the whole dynamic we know today. The fourth race, the Atlanteans, was when humanity reached the peak of technological and psychic development. But it was also when corruption truly took hold, when the ego began to dominate, when power began to be used to control instead of to liberate. And you know what the craziest part is? Blavatsky wasn't making this up. She was translating texts that all ancient cultures mention in one way or another. The Hindus speak of the yugas, the cosmic ages. The Egyptians speak of the Neteru, the gods who were actually earlier versions of humanity. The Greeks speak of the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age. Even the Bible, if you read between the lines, speaks of the Nephilim, of giants, of the sons of God who mingled with the daughters of men. All of these are distorted fragments of the same story, the story of the root races, the story of our fall and our programmed forgetting. Now pay attention to this part, because it is fundamental for you to understand what is happening to you right now. We are in the 5th root race, the Aryan race, as Blavatsky called it, which began thousands of years ago and is reaching the end of its cycle. And when a root race ends, not everyone moves on to the next one. There is a natural selection of consciousness, the souls that have expanded, that have learned the lessons, that have awakened to the truth. They evolve to the 6th race. But those who remain trapped in materialism, in ego, in illusion, they are left behind. They repeat the cycle. They incarnate again and again in the same situations until they finally wake up. And look, this is not divine punishment. This is not a cruel God punishing you. It is simply the natural law of the evolution of consciousness. You can't pass to the next level if you haven't learned the lessons of this level. And here comes a truth that will shake you. You can't remember your past lives, not because it's impossible. You don't remember because there is a purposeful blocking mechanism. Blavatsky explains that when the soul incarnates, it goes through a process that the ancients called crossing the river Lethe, the river of forgetfulness. It is a vibrational zone between the spiritual world and the material world that erases the conscious memory of previous incarnations. And you know why? Because if you remembered everything, all your lives, all your mistakes, all your pains, all the people you were and ceased to be, you wouldn't be able to function in this reality. It would be a total overload. But there is also another reason, a darker reason. There are forces, both incarnate and discarnate, that benefit from your amnesia. Because a humanity that does not know who it is, that does not know where it came from, that does not know its real power, is a humanity that is easy to control. Think with me. If you knew you had lived hundreds of lives, that you had been a king and a beggar, a man and a woman, a murderer and a saint, would you still take the artificial divisions of this life so seriously? Would you still care so much about social status, money, appearance, all these things that society says are important? Of course not. You would see all of it for what it really is, a temporary game, a school, a stage where you are playing another role in an infinite play. And that is exactly what they don't want you to realize. Because the moment you realize it, you become free. And a free person is dangerous to a system that depends on people being trapped. Blavatsky spent years writing all of this down. Her main book, The Secret Doctrine, is over 1,500 pages long, divided into several volumes. It is dense, it is complex, it is difficult to read because she mixes philosophy, science, religion, mythology, all together. But when the book was published in 1888, the reaction was explosive. The Catholic Church placed it on the list of forbidden books. Materialist scientists ridiculed her, calling her a charlatan, a madwoman, a fraud. Secret societies that had guarded this knowledge for themselves were furious because she was publicly exposing what was supposed to remain hidden. There were even those who tried to buy and burn every copy they could find. Why? Because this book is not just another book of spiritual philosophy. This book is an atomic bomb on the belief system that has kept humanity enslaved for millennia. So let's talk about karma, because that's another concept that has been completely distorted to control you. Most people think karma is like a cosmic punishment. Do something bad, you'll pay. Do something good, you'll get a reward, as if the universe were a hangman judge keeping a spreadsheet of your rights and wrongs. But this is a grotesque distortion of the original concept. Blavatsky explains that karma is simply the law of cause and effect applied at the level of consciousness. Every thought, every emotion, every action you emit creates a vibration in the universal energy field, and that vibration eventually returns to you, not as punishment, but as a lesson, as an opportunity for you to experience on the other side what you have created. So if in one life you were someone who abused power, who humiliated, who caused suffering, it's not a God up there deciding to punish you. It is simply the universal intelligence putting you in a situation where you will experience what you caused, so that you finally understand, at a cellular level, at the soul level, the impact of your choices. And when you understand this, when you truly absorb this truth, you realize that karma is not your enemy. Karma is your greatest teacher. Every difficulty you face now is an opportunity for you to balance something you created before. Every challenge is an invitation for you to evolve. And the moment you stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as the creator of your own reality across multiple lives, everything changes. Now listen to me carefully, because this is one of the most important parts. We are living in a unique moment in planetary history. The transition from the 5th to the 6th root race is not a smooth one. It is chaotic. It is turbulent. It is like childbirth. And you can feel it, can't you? Everyone can feel it. The world is on fire. Systems that have worked for decades are collapsing. Truths that were absolute are being questioned. People are waking up en masse, having existential crises, questioning everything. And there are those who look at this and see it as the end of the world. But it is not the end of the world. It is the end of a world, the end of an era, the end of a form of collective consciousness that no longer serves. The sixth root race, according to Blavatsky, will be characterized by human beings with naturally developed psychic abilities. Telepathy won't be something out of a science fiction movie. It will be normal communication. The manipulation of matter through conscious intention will be something children learn in school. The direct connection with higher dimensions will be as natural as picking up your cell phone and accessing the internet is now. But for this to happen, for humanity to make this quantum leap in consciousness, there needs to be a cleansing, a reset, and that is what is happening now. That is why everything seems to be falling apart, because it is falling apart. Everything that is based on lies, on control, on separation, on fear, all of it needs to fall so that the new can be born. And you who are listening to this now are not here by accident. There is something inside you that recognizes this truth. Your rational mind may be resisting, saying this is crazy, that it can't be real. But your heart knows, your soul knows, because you are an old soul. You know how I know? Because new souls do not seek this kind of information. New souls are happy with the superficial answers that religion and traditional science offer. But you are not. You have come this far because something inside you is screaming that there is more, that there has to be more, that this programmed little life of being born, studying, working, marrying, having children, retiring and dying cannot be all there is. So let's talk about the signs. How do you know if you are an old soul? First, you have always felt different, since childhood, as if you didn't quite fit into this world, this society, all these rules that everyone follows without question. Second, you have an inexplicable wisdom about certain things. You just know, without having learned it in this life. It could be about some ancient culture, some spiritual practice, some knowledge you theoretically never studied, but when you read about it, it feels like remembering, not learning. Third, you have empathy beyond the norm. You feel things deeply, the pain of others affects you, you cannot be superficial in relationships. Fourth, you are drawn to specific places in the world, places you have never been but feel a deep connection to, an inexplicable calling. These are usually places where you lived in past lives. Fifth, you frequently go through existential crises. You question the meaning of everything. What for? Why? What is the real purpose of it all? If you recognized 3 or more of these signs in yourself, then yes, you are definitely an old soul. And you know what that means? It means you chose to be here now, at this specific moment in human history, to help with this transition. You are not here as a punishment. You are not just here paying off karma from past lives. You are here on a mission, and the mission is to awaken, and after awakening, to help others awaken. Because the planetary transformation that is happening is not something that will happen to you passively. You are an active part of it. Every person who awakens is a point of light on a planet that has been in darkness for too long. But let's go back to Helena Blavatsky, because there's one thing I haven't told you yet. When she began to disseminate these teachings, she founded the Theosophical Society in 1875 in New York. The purpose was clear: to study comparative religions, ancient philosophies, occult sciences, and the latent powers in human beings. It sounds harmless, right? But it wasn't, because she was gathering people, creating a network of awakening individuals, sharing knowledge that was supposed to remain restricted to occult elites. And this was seen as a gigantic threat. There were assassination attempts. There were brutal smear campaigns. They fabricated stories that she was a Russian spy, a double agent, that she faked psychic phenomena to deceive fools. They did everything to destroy her credibility. But here is the detail that proves she was telling the truth. Despite all the opposition, despite all the attacks, the movement she started grew. It spread throughout the world. It influenced writers, scientists, artists, spiritual leaders. Gandhi studied theosophy. Einstein was interested in the concepts. Carl Jung was deeply influenced by her ideas. Because when you touch upon the real truth, even if it's distorted, attacked, ridiculed, it spreads. Truth has its own vibration that resonates with the right people at the right times. And there's more. The predictions Blavatsky made at the end of the 19th century about the 20th and 21st centuries are coming true with frightening accuracy. She said that humanity would go through 2 great world wars before the true awakening would begin. It happened. She said that science would eventually discover that matter and energy are the same thing, proving what mystics had always known. Einstein proved it with EMC2. She said there would be a time in history when technology would allow for instantaneous communication around the world, connecting people in ways never seen before. The internet. She said that ancient secrets would begin to leak, that ancient texts would be discovered, that the truth could no longer be suppressed. And look at what is happening. The Dead Sea Scrolls, the Nag Hammadi Library, pyramids being discovered under the ocean, evidence of advanced civilizations long before what official history acknowledges. So what is the real purpose of your existence here? It's not to pay bills. It's not to accumulate material things. It's not to be validated by other people. It's not to follow a script that society wrote for you. The real purpose is for you to remember who you are. It is for you to awaken from the collective trance. It is for you to expand your consciousness until you reconnect with that original state of unity with all that exists. And as you do this, as you free yourself from the invisible chains of conditioning, you automatically inspire others to do the same. Not through preaching, not through convincing, but simply by being who you truly are, by radiating a different frequency, by living in a way that shows there is another way to exist on this plane. Blavatsky used to say that each person who awakens is like a cell in the planetary body waking up. At first, there are few, but when a critical mass is reached, when enough cells awaken, the entire body awakens. And that is what is happening. For the first time in recorded history, we have millions of people around the world simultaneously questioning the official narrative, seeking deeper truths, reconnecting with ancestral spiritual practices, rejecting the empty materialism that was sold as success. This is not a coincidence. This is the 6th root race beginning to emerge within the 5th. It is the future of humanity beginning to manifest through the pioneers, the misfits, those who don't fit into the system because they were not made to fit in. They were made to break the system. Now let's talk about why they burned her books. And please note, I'm not speaking metaphorically. There were places where they actually burned copies of the secret doctrine. There were libraries that refused to put the book on their shelves. There were countries where it was forbidden to import her writings. Why? Because this book does something very dangerous. It takes you out of the center. It shows you that you are not a special creation of an anthropomorphic God who cares if you go to church every Sunday. It shows you that you are part of an infinite cosmos, inhabited by countless forms of consciousness at different evolutionary levels. It shows that gods are just more evolved beings, not absolute creators. It shows that you have the potential to become a god, to ascend through the planes of existence until you reach states of consciousness that now seem impossible. And who is this dangerous for? For any institution based on you thinking you are small. For any religion that needs you to see yourself as a sinner in need of external salvation. For any government that needs obedient citizens who do not question authority. For any economic system that needs dissatisfied consumers always trying to fill the void with material things. When you understand what Blavatsky teaches, you become uncontrollable, not because you become an aggressive rebel, but because you simply don't play their game anymore. You exit the matrix, and every person who exits weakens the collective illusion. Let me tell you about something that happened to Blavatsky that few people know. In 1878, she was in Cairo when she met a woman who claimed to be a medium. This woman organized seances where spirits supposedly manifested by moving objects, playing instruments, materializing forms. Blavatsky attended one of these seances and immediately realized it was a fraud. basic tricks to deceive people desperate for contact with deceased loved ones. She exposed the fraud publicly, showing exactly how the tricks were done. And you know what happened? The medium and her supporters turned against her, accusing Blavatsky herself of being the fraud. They created a massive smear campaign that hounded her for the rest of her life. Why am I telling you this? Because it shows something fundamental about how the system works. When you expose the truth, when you threaten established interests, they don't come with logical arguments. They come with personal attacks, defamation, demoralization. They try to destroy your credibility so that no one will listen to what you have to say. And this is not exclusive to Blavatsky's time. It happens today with anyone who dares to question the official narratives. If you can't refute the message, attack the messenger. It's always like this. It has always been like this. And it will continue to be like this as long as there are interests in keeping people in ignorance. But there is a fascinating detail. Blavatsky always said that she was not the real author of the secret doctrine. She said she was merely the scribe, the channel for knowledge transmitted by her masters. These masters, whom she called Mahatmas, were highly evolved beings who lived in retreat in the Himalayas, preserving ancestral wisdom and guiding the spiritual development of humanity behind the scenes. And before you think this is crazy, stop for a second and think. All the great spiritual traditions speak of this. The Hindus speak of the rishis. The Buddhists speak of the bodhisattvas. The Christians speak of saints and angels. The Sufis speak of hidden masters. Even indigenous cultures of the Americas speak of wise elders who never die, who guard sacred knowledge. What Blavatsky was saying deep down is that there is a spiritual hierarchy on the planet. Beings who have already completed their human evolution but have chosen to remain connected to Earth to help those who are still in the process. And these beings work through incarnated individuals who are ready, who have awakened enough to receive and transmit higher teachings without distorting them with their ego. She said that throughout history, there have always been these connections, that great philosophers, mystics, founders of religions, all had contact with this hierarchy in one way or another, and that a time had come in planetary evolution when this knowledge needed to become more accessible. It could no longer be restricted to select groups, to secret societies, to closed monasteries. It needed to reach the masses, and she was chosen to make that happen. Look at the courage that required. She knew she would be attacked. She knew she would be ridiculed. She knew her life would be infinitely easier if she kept this knowledge to herself, used it for her own benefit, and lived quietly. But she chose the difficult path. She chose to be the bridge between hidden knowledge and the general public. And she paid the price. She died poor, sick, slandered, with many considering her a fraud. But look at the legacy that remains. More than a century later, her ideas are still alive, still spreading, still transforming people. Because the truth does not die. It can be temporarily suppressed, distorted, ridiculed. But it always reemerges. It always finds a way. It always reaches the people who are ready to receive it. Now let me tell you about something Blavatsky taught that is perhaps the most practical of all, the 7 principles of a human being. She said that we are not just a physical body. We are 7 bodies or principles operating simultaneously on different frequencies. The physical body you see in the mirror is just the densest one. There is the etheric body, which is the energetic double of the physical, the one that acupuncture and other energy medicines work on. There is the astral body, linked to emotions and desires, which projects during sleep. There is the lower mental body, related to concrete thought, reason, logic. There is the higher mental body, related to abstract thought, intuition, higher ideas. There is the Buddhic body, related to universal love, true compassion. And there is the Atmic body, which is the divine spark, the direct connection to the source, what many call the spirit or higher self. And here's the point. Most people live identified only with the 3 lower bodies, physical, emotional, and lower mental. That is why life seems so limited, so heavy, so full of suffering. Because you are operating with only a fraction of your total being. The other bodies are there, functioning, but you are not aware of them. You don't know how to access them. You don't know how to use the tools they offer. It's like having a supercomputer, but only using Notepad. There is a whole unexplored potential waiting for you to awaken. And how do you awaken? Blavatsky was clear. It is not through complicated rituals. It is not through secret initiations. It is not through paying fortunes to gurus. It is through consistent inner work. Meditation to calm the lower mind and make space for insights from the higher mind. Study to feed the intellect with higher truths instead of the mental garbage society pushes. Service to others to develop the Buddhic body, the true compassion that transcends the ego. And above all, brutal self-observation. Looking at yourself without filters, recognizing your destructive patterns, your masks, your lies, and having the courage to dismantle them one by one. She said that the spiritual path is not about becoming something you are not. It is about removing everything that is not truly you until you reveal the essence that has always been there. It is a process of subtraction, not addition. You don't need to gain enlightenment. You need to lose the illusion. And every layer of illusion that falls is a liberation. Every limiting pattern you transcend is a step towards your real nature. And yes, it hurts. It hurts like hell. Because you are killing old versions of yourself. You are letting go of identities you have carried for lifetimes. You are giving up the comfortable security of your known prisons to dive into the unknown of true freedom. There's a story about Blavatsky that I find fascinating. A student once came to her asking for initiation into the mysteries. He was convinced he deserved it, that he was ready, that he had studied enough. She looked at him and asked, "Can you go a whole day without complaining about anything? A whole day without judging anyone? A whole day without placing yourself as superior or inferior to anyone?" The student fell silent. She continued, "You want cosmic mysteries, secrets of the universe, hidden powers, but you can't even control your own mind for 24 hours. You can't even observe your thoughts without identifying with them. How do you expect to access higher realities if you can barely handle this basic reality?" This is so important. We keep seeking mystical experiences, visions, paranormal phenomena, thinking that this is spirituality. But real spirituality begins in the trivial, in the way you respond when someone cuts you off in traffic, in your reaction when things don't go your way, in your ability to be present in a conversation instead of being in your head, planning what you're going to say, in the small moments of choice between reacting automatically or responding consciously. That's where the real work happens. That's where you build or destroy your evolution. Not in weekend spiritual retreats, not in special ceremonies, but in the common, monotonous, repetitive day-to-day life. And let me tell you one more thing about the root races that will make you understand the moment we are living in. Blavatsky said that the transitions between races do not happen overnight. There is a period of overlap that can last for thousands of years. During this period, characteristics of the old race and the new race coexist. Some people already begin to manifest abilities of the next race, while others are still stuck in the patterns of the previous race. And this creates a huge conflict. The two consciousnesses cannot understand each other. They speak different languages. They see reality in totally incompatible ways. Does that remind you of anything? Look at the world today. There are people operating on a completely materialistic frequency. For them, only what can be measured, weighed, quantified exists. Consciousness is just brain chemistry. Love is just hormones. There is no greater purpose, no invisible dimensions, nothing beyond this physical reality. And there are people operating on a completely different frequency, who know there is more, who feel the energies, who notice synchronicities, who have experiences that materialist science cannot explain. These two forms of consciousness are trying to coexist on the same planet. And obviously, it generates tension. It generates conflict. It generates a feeling that the world is divided as it has never been before. But understand, this is not bad. It is necessary. It is part of the birth process of the new humanity. And you, if you are listening to this and recognizing these truths within yourself, you are part of the new frequency. You are a cell of the sixth root race beginning to awaken within the body of the fifth. And your function is not to convert others. It is not to convince anyone. It is not to prove anything to anyone. Your function is simply to be, to anchor this new frequency through the way you live. And naturally, by resonance, you will attract other cells that are vibrating similarly. And together, you form a morphogenetic field, an energetic grid that facilitates the awakening of more people. This is not vague, mystical theory. This is how the evolution of collective consciousness works. Blavatsky spoke a lot about something she called the law of cycles. Everything in the universe moves in cycles. Days and nights, seasons of the year, phases of the moon, birth and death, civilizations that rise and fall, and there are larger cycles that span thousands and millions of years, cosmic cycles where entire solar systems are born, evolve, and die. And we are always within multiple simultaneous cycles. There is the cycle of your individual life. There is the cycle of your incarnations. There is the cycle of your root race. There is the cycle of the planet. There is the cycle of the solar system. There is the cycle of the galaxy, all interconnected, all influencing each other. And there is a specific moment in some of these cycles where there is an opening, a portal, a window of opportunity for evolutionary leaps. It's like when you're jumping rope and you need to enter at the exact moment. If you enter too early or too late, you trip. But if you enter with perfect timing, you flow. Blavatsky said that we are in one of these moments of opening, a moment where it is possible to do in one lifetime what would normally take several incarnations, where the energy available for awakening is amplified. But it is also a moment where if you don't take advantage of it, if you let it pass, it will be a long time until the next opportunity of this kind. That is why so many old souls incarnated at this time. That is why you are here now. It is not a coincidence. It is not by chance. You chose to be here at this specific moment because, at the soul level, you knew it would be a time of harvest, a time of completion of cycles, a time of gigantic potential for evolution, but also a time of gigantic challenge. Because the greater the opportunity, the greater the resistance. The more light comes in, the more the shadow struggles. And that is exactly what you see happening. The world seems to be going crazy, because it is. Because the old consciousness is fighting tooth and nail not to lose control, while the new consciousness is emerging with ever-increasing strength. And here is the final revelation, the most impactful truth that Helena Blavatsky brought to light, the one that, when you truly absorb it, makes it impossible to go back to sleep. You are not a victim. You never were. Not of circumstances, not of other people, not of malevolent cosmic forces, not of karma from past lives. You are a creator. Everything you experience, everything you attract, everything that happens in your life is a direct reflection of your state of consciousness across multiple incarnations. The universe is not doing anything to you. The universe is responding to you. Every situation, every person, every challenge that appears in your life is a mirror. It is you meeting yourself. It is the external reality showing you what is operating in your internal reality. And the moment you take full responsibility for this, not in a way that generates guilt, but in a way that generates power, you become free. Because if you have created your reality so far unconsciously, imagine what you can create when you do it consciously. When you awaken to the fact that every thought is a command to the universe, that every emotion is a frequency that attracts corresponding experiences, that every belief is a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you understand that there is no out there, that everything is a reflection of what is happening in here. When this truth becomes lived, not just intellectually understood but viscerally felt, cellularly integrated, your entire life changes. You stop waiting for saviors. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop victimizing yourself. You stop giving your power away. And you take the throne of your own existence. You become the creator god of your reality. Not in the egoic sense of controlling everything, but in the sense of co-creating in harmony with universal laws, of flowing with the cycles, of dancing with life instead of fighting against it, of recognizing that you are simultaneously the wave and the ocean, the individual and the whole, the drop and the sea. This is the key. This is the forbidden revelation. You are a divine being having a temporary experience of limitation in order to know yourself through contrast. And the time has come for you to stop pretending you don't know this. The time has come for you to assume your true nature. Not tomorrow. Not when the conditions are perfect. Not when you feel ready. Now. Because the time you have in this incarnation is limited, but what you do with this time, the level of consciousness you reach, the choices you make, this determines not only the rest of this life, but the entire next cycle of incarnations. You can continue in the loop, repeating the same lessons, encountering the same situations in different guises for another 1,000 years if you want. Or you can awaken now and leap to the next octave of existence. The choice has always been yours. It always was. Blavatsky didn't come to bring a new religion. She came to remind you of something you already know but have forgotten. She came to show the way back home. But the walking is yours alone. No one can do it for you. No master, no guru, no external savior. Only you. It was always only you. And it will always be only you. This is the most liberating and the most terrifying truth at the same time. You are on your own in this, but you are never alone, because you are part of the whole. And the whole is always within you, guiding you, supporting you, loving you, patiently waiting for you to wake up and remember who you really are.